What's up, everybody? Welcome to Party on Broad. Today, we made it, Ryan. We are bittersweet, man. We are recapping, we're ranking every single Eagles draft pick here from the 2024 NFL Draft. Guys, if you've hung out with us throughout our draft watch parties, watched any of my video breakdowns on the Eagles draft selections, they're all there on the channel. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts, man. We had a great turnout. It was a blast. Joining us is Ryan Reese at Philly Sports PSA on X. What's good, Ryan?
Not much, man. It was it was one hell of a weekend. It was over 10 hours of streaming the draft. It was a lot of hard work and the culmination of a lot of people and a lot of great great hard work. So thank you to everybody, honestly, who was part of that. We had like I said, over 10,000 live viewers at one point or another throughout the weekend. So awesome.
Yeah, man, it was awesome. Also joining us, here's the Rob Lange. Give him a shout out on X at Philly_Madness. What's up, Rob?
Guys, you got me through watching that draft alone, all right? Because it was commenting with you guys, especially night one, as we all just sat there and watched as these guys just kept falling down the board, and we're like, all right, this is where Howie jumps. Is this where Howie jumps? And then he doesn't have to jump. And I swear to you, everything in my body told me they were going to pick Tyler Guyton, and it was going to just absolutely demoralize me. Yeah. And I had so much fun just like kind of throwing like little chats at you guys on night one and night two, because it was just like at one point, like I said it to you guys, I felt like I was in the insane asylum because I was talking to myself. I was here totally alone, and I was just like having conversations with my television. It was super weird, but you guys were awesome. You guys did a great job, and it was hell. It was a great draft. I thought they did a great job.
Yeah, thanks, appreciate that, man. Little G's in the house saying Eagles job was good. I lost one of my family members. Prayers up, man. Deepest condolences. That's horrible. Can't even imagine, man. Davey says Baldy is down on our draft.
I don't think he was, though. I mean, I haven't heard him today, but
he didn't like it. I thought he liked it.
Yeah, he was thrilled with Quinyon Mitchell, and he loved Cooper DeJean. So, like, I don't know why you wouldn't like this draft.
Yeah, I think the only person I saw that was like trying to start something was that Nick Wright jerk. Yeah. Which, by the way, any national guy who if you already know who they're rooting for, the credibility is done with me.
Yes.
Like, he's a Kansas City Chief fan. He lets you know about it. Like, that's all I need. That's all I need to know. So you can just shut up. Same with Skip Bayless. He's a Cowboy fan. Like,
nah. Meanwhile, I love that it is enjoyable to watch Skip Bayless have to give the Eagles credit while ripping apart his own team. That was super fun to see.
Yeah.
No, but right. Rob, I got to tell you real quick though. Rob sent us a text while we were in the middle of the draft. There was literally a picture of him in a hoodie with the hoodie because he couldn't look anymore. Honestly, it made my night. I couldn't stop laughing. It was absolutely the best. Oh,
I felt that way.
Before we jump into this thing, one little note. Phil Steifel hosts an amazing morning show called Treading into AM, 8 a.m. Monday through Friday here at EOP. Tomorrow, he has the legendary Sean Bernard talking everything Philadelphia 76ers. So be sure to check that out. Did an amazing job breaking down the Eagles draft this morning. So please be sure to join Trending in the AM where your opinions matter, 8 a.m. It's fantastic. So today we are doing an S to F tier. S is like, I think like super. I'm not really superior.
Supreme, superior.
Something like that. All the way to F. We might not have F. Who knows? I don't know what anybody else's grades are. I mean, although all my grades are already on the channel. If you watch those videos. So I think this is going to be more about Ryan and Rob tonight because I already gave my thoughts in all those videos, and I want to hear what those guys have to say. Davey says, listen to his interview on.
I will.
LY Sports with
Yeah,
Anthony
I
Gonzalez.
will.
Down, guys. Interesting.
You know, officially with them now.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I knew he was going
yeah.
to be.
Gargano started his show a few weeks ago with those guys. He was finally able to after the settlement with the Fanatic.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So let's jump in. We've got a lot to talk about here. Guys, if you're watching us live, of course, like this video, but also comment with us and how you would grade each and every one of these guys. First up, Quinyon Mitchell. The trade up never happened. Instead, we saw the first 14 picks of the 2024 draft on the offensive side of the ball, including 6 QBs that helped guys like Quinyon Mitchell kind of get pushed down. Rather than move up, Roseman just kind of sat tight. I don't know if he was lucky. I don't know what. But I'm going to let Rob lead us off, man. Talk to us about Quinyon Mitchell and how would you grade it S to F?
I mean, look, the Eagles had a need at corner coming into this draft. We basically talked about it ad nauseum for months, you know, and I think all of us had kept saying what we want out of a first round pick is a guy that's going to be able to contribute day one. And we felt that the offensive tackle part of this was not necessarily going to be that. You know, I don't, like you said, I don't know if Howie had good intel that these guys were falling. I mean, the fact that Mitchell and Arnold are both sitting there when they're about to draft at 22 was, you know, I think stunning to everybody. And, you know, I don't think you could have made a wrong decision here, with whichever one you chose there. You know, I understand the small school thing that people like to bring up, and you know, it's funny that people still bring that up. And there's guys that come out of small schools all the time now that could be really, really good players. This is by far an S pick, not only because of the player, but where you got him. Yeah, it didn't have to give anything up, and it gave you the ability in day two to do that little trade up and also get a third round pick and start to move around the board like they did. You know, it's just look, sometimes with the draft, you got to be lucky, right? Sometimes the board has to fall your way. And, you know, thank you, Atlanta. Thank you, Denver, for the Bo Nix and the Michael Penix pick. You know, and the run on tackles. I mean, my fear as we were watching was as the run on tackle started that they were going to trade up, but I do believe that we've seen a slight change in Howie's way this offseason. And he knew how big this spot was, this cornerback spot was, when you have 230+ guys over there. So very, very high grade on this one for sure.
What is it? S A?
Yes. S.
S tier for Rob. Anthony chimes in saying A+ for Quinyon. Davey chimes in saying I'm giving Quinyon an A. Leatu would have been an A+. Quick side note: if you're watching us live, like I was always dead set on Howie targeting Terrion Arnold, Quinyon Mitchell, and Leatu Latu. Those are my top 3 guys that I thought for sure that was going to be it. And I would have been okay with a trade up to get one of those. And the fact that you were able to do so without giving up any day 2 picks, how is this not an S? What are your thoughts, Ryan?
Yeah, listen, this immediately has to be an S. You get a guy that we all thought we were going to need to trade up. I mean, we were talking, you know, 12, 13, 14, you know, like early teams. And this is a guy that again, it's a lot of luck, sure. But it's also a lot of, you know, intelligence to know of where, you know, certain teams would draft. And, you know, the fact of the matter is because he didn't have to move up, we were able to save 50 and 53, and we were able to utilize those picks to move up so that we could get Cooper DeJean. So everything kind of fell into place quite perfectly. And, you know, yes, I would have certainly liked Latu. I would have liked Terrion Arnold. I think any one of those 3 would have been an S pick for me at 22. But yeah, unfortunately, Latu got picked early, and they decided that Quinyon was the better fit under Fangio. And honestly, I got to trust them the way that they've you know, been drafting. So S tier for me, easy.
And you know, they like character guys. And obviously, you know, I didn't know the whole story on Quinyon Mitchell, but He's obviously a guy of high character that he probably had plenty of opportunities to get into the transfer portal. You heard Saban say that Saban wanted him in the transfer portal, and he stayed at Toledo because he felt he owed it to those guys to finish his career there. So, there's another bonus with the guy.
That says a lot. Yeah, Howie drafted a lot of team captains for sure, and high character guys. You can tell that that's important to them.
Yeah.
Davey says he looks like he's going to be good from the headshot alone. An extremely well-balanced prospect. Excellent tackler, excellent in coverage. That's his real bread and butter. I mean, that was the difference between Quinyon Mitchell and Terrion Arnold. Terrion Arnold's, I think, a little bit better in run support. He's a little more aggressive. He's a little more physical, more of a press corner, where Quinyon can he's kind of more so his bread and butter is the coverage side. So I think it's a great fit for Vic Fangio's defense, where we're not going to see a lot of press, and it's an absolute S tier. He's a pencil in day one starter opposite Darius Slay as CB2 from the jump. Yeah. No question. Like I will be flipping tables if some other guy is sitting there. Something has gone seriously wrong if he's not on the football field day one.
100%. 100%.
Anthony says, I should have said S. I taught for 11 years, so I have A plus S, the best.
All good, Anthony. All good.
All right, let's roll on to the second draft pick for the Philadelphia Eagles. Heading into day 2, you got Quinyon Mitchell in the first round. A lot of us during the watch party thought it could be O-line, wide receiver, linebacker. With their 2 second-round picks in 50 and 53, but just 8 picks into round 2. The Birds were suddenly on the clock at pick number 40, and Ryan on the watch party, we were all doing backflips, celebrating Cooper DeJean's to the Philadelphia Eagles. It was an amazing moment. He was among the top of our boards across the board. I'll throw it to you, Ryan, first. How would you grade Cooper DeJean?
Yeah, listen, I'm going to have to call this another ass. The fact of the matter is he was absolutely in play at 22.
Mm-hmm.
He was a guy that I think had the board gone a little bit more defensively a little earlier, and maybe the corners were off the board. This is a guy that absolutely was going to be in play at 22. And the fact of the matter is you were able, because of the way that the board fell, because you didn't have to trade up to get Quinyon and he fell into your laps, because of all that, you did still have your assets to trade up and go ahead and get a guy that was a first round talent that you got at pick number 40. So I love it when Howie, recognizes the value and it goes and it gets it. So for all of those reasons, I think this has to be another S tier, because again, I think you just got yourself another starter out there to go along with Quinyon, and our secondary is vastly improved. It's now Slay. It's now Quinyon, now Cooper. It's now CJ DJ. It's now our cornerback room now is not depth because of just having bodies. It's depth with talent. Like, you literally have about 5 guys in the cornerback room right now, and that's not including Cooper. Again, he's kind of going to be, corner, safety, whatever. I'm not even counting him. You have Slay, you have Quinyon, you have Rogers, you have Keeley, you have Avante. Those are 5 guys right there. I'm not even. Yeah, you have Job, you have Ricks. Like, I'm Rogers. Not even counting. Yeah, I said Rogers. Oh. Yeah. I'm not counting Bradbury. So, like, I just named 5, 6, 7 guys there that are now talent and depth. Yep. And it's not just, oh well, we got a lot of corners, like that's depth, right? No, this is talent for depth. Yeah. And now our safeties have talent. CJ and Cooper and even Ed Reed Blankenship, and eventually Sidney Brown when he gets healthy. That's a nice safety room. So I'm
Yeah.
thrilled with what they've done with the defensive backfield.
Yeah, that's if you could probably point towards some losers of the draft, it's the depth at corner for the Philadelphia Eagles, guys like Eli Ricks and Keely Ringo. And I agree, Ryan, like quality over quantity. Those were just guys.
But they have both now.
Yes.
Mhm.
They have quality and quantity. Like this
They
is
finally have blue chip talent at the cornerback position that they can grow, and the versatility to throw these guys in different spots. Even Cooper DeJean announced himself as a defensive, or the Eagles have announced him as a defensive back, and Cooper said he could play all over the secondary. And we'll get to that in a little bit. But Rob, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think, from a grade standpoint, it's an S. From like Ryan said, this is a guy that we thought that if they picked him at 22, we were going to be happy. Instead of getting him at 22, you get him at 40 because of how everything fell, whether it was the injury that kept him out of the combine and all those other things, whatever it may be. But this guy is a freak athlete, man. I mean, he's just a freak athlete. And if you don't see it on the football field, just go watch his highlight tape from his high school basketball days. I mean, he is, and look, we know the Eagles, their favorite word the Eagles have is versatility. And there may not have been a more versatile defensive backfield piece than Cooper DeJean, who can play nickel corner, play from the safety position in nickel, play regular safety, go play outside corner. He can do a little bit of everything. And if it ends up that it's him and Mitchell on the outside for years to come, great. If it ends up it's Mitchell and Ringo and DeJean goes back and plays safety with Sidney Brown over the next 5, 6, 7, 8 years, great. You know what I mean? This is it was such an unbelievable pick. It was such an unbelievable move. I know a lot of people were like, oh my God, I can't believe they didn't really give up. They did what I think we expected them to do. I don't think anyone truly expected the Eagles to pick at 50 and 53. Like there was always the thought that one of those picks was going to get traded back and they were going to get into the third round. And they did that. And, just for the mere fact alone that we're talking about the guy that we all thought would have been a perfect pick at 22 and you get him at 40, how is that not an S tier pick? How is that not an S tier? So, I mean, just thrilled with that one.
All right. I'm going to throw him an S. I'm good with that. Right. I'll share the screen in a second. Anthony says, do you think all the defensive backs make the team? If not, who is the odd man out? So let's do the quick math. This is my favorite shit, man. Sorry for the swearing. Anthony, I love doing these 53-man roster projections at this time. It's overreaction time, and these are my favorite. So last year, the Eagles kept 7 cornerbacks on the roster and 4 safeties on the roster. Okay. So if we're going to look at the depth chart, let's just say 11 for the hell of it. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Here we go.
Safeties. We have our 4 safeties, right?
Darius Slay, Quinyon Mitchell, Reed Blankenship, CJ Gardner-Johnson, Cooper DeJean, Sidney Brown, Keely Ringo, Avonte Maddox, Zach McPherson. That's 9. So now we get into it. Okay. I think James Bradbury is gone.
Yeah, I do too.
Are we all in agreement that he's gone?
Yep.
I think he's a post-June 1st cut.
Right, he is.
So then you need to decide between Josh Jobe, Mekhi Garner, who I like, Isaiah Rodgers, Tyler Hall, who they brought in, Eli Ricks, Mario Goodrich. Man, they are just loaded.
I think Isaiah Rodgers is here. I don't think that trade was made last year without the idea of keeping him in the fold.
He did have such a good season the year before. Obviously he got suspended, but still,
I think it really comes down to you mentioned a bunch of those names, but I do believe you're going to look at Ricks and Jobe as which one of those guys stays and which one of those guys leaves. I think they're high on both of them. I'll be honest with you. Okay. And I'm basing this just off of watching last year. I was not all that impressed with Eli Ricks. I thought there were many plays during the year that I saw him trailing a receiver or someone. Now, with that said, he was on the field and Josh Jobe really wasn't. So, what does that mean? I don't know. But that's when we get into the, closer to training camp, we start talking about battles. I think those two specifically are fighting each other for one roster spot.
I'd say
Job, good problem, man.
Great problem. Yeah. Great problem. But I say Jobe, Garner, and honestly, I think McPherson.
Yeah.
Because
he's another one that could go. He's not a guarantee, I think, or a lock to make it.
He keeps getting hurt. He hasn't really done anything, honestly. And they have a lot, youth right there. And I don't know. That's gonna be one of the positions.
Well, that's the thing when you draft like they did, and you get the undrafted free agents of the last couple of years. Youth is going to replace youth. It's not like it's all these aging guys that you're going to replace. Youth is going to have to replace youth. So you're going to let go of some young guys because you don't really have a choice. Like, listen, I know people were down on Darius Slay last year, but I love the idea of Darius Slay kind of being the mentor to some of these younger guys as they come in the league. Like Quinyon Mitchell getting to learn from one of the best to do it over the last 10 seasons is going to be really good for his growth and development. So as you said, Dives, you hit it right on the head. This is a great problem to have that if you would have talked to any of us in January, we would have never imagined having this issue.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Yeah. For the sake of time, let's keep it rolling. We've got a lot more players to cover. Cut Devin White.
Freddie, don't start with me, Freddie. Do not start with me, Freddie. Okay?
He likes your background, though.
Yeah. Guess what? Get out of here.
Davey says, I loved his interview, too. He's a good Iowa boy. Language young man. I'm not young. Earmuffs, I guess. Will you guys be doing a 53-man roster prediction show?
Of course.
What's ironic about that was I actually messaged the Birds of the Round Table.
You did. I didn't respond. That's what I found.
Possibly doing something like that. So, yeah, that's going to be coming, Davey.
I'll do 7 of them.
It's never too early to do any type of football.
I'll do one every single week of the preseason.
Right. Keep track of it.
Ryan says, hi, guys. What's going on?
What's up, Ryan?
What's up, Ryan?
Ricks is out of position a lot. Yeah, I think Ricks is on the way out.
Yeah.
Colts fans were sick losing Rodgers. I do think Rodgers is more of an outside corner than a slot guy, which a lot of Eagles think he's a slot guy, and I don't understand that. But here we are. I love the roster breakdown show as well. You guys listing all the names is so crazy, the depth that they have. Such a contrast from last year. Love it, man. Love the positivity. Isn't the Bradbury contract an issue? Feeling like coaching had a lot to do with the issues, having him do stuff he isn't good at. That coaching was an abomination. He's too slow, man. He lost.
Yeah, and listen, when they're going to with the moves that they've made, like that's the other thing that it kind of gets buried. The lead gets buried. That they re-sign AJ Brown. They're going to have like $50 million in cap space last year. So if they got to take a dead cap hit next year to get rid of James Bradbury, I think you kind of suck it up and do it.
But listen, I will say, if you honestly, and I know this is probably more of a comedic thing here, but if you honestly look at James Bradbury, he does seem to have
every other year
a good year, and then a bad year, and then a good year. Like, listen, maybe you bring him into camp and just see what's what. You cut him, it's.
I need Quinyon on the field, baby.
I mean, 100%.
I need Q.
No,
I need Q, baby.
He cannot prevent the Q train coming.
Q train, I like it.
All right. Some more comments. Only because Trot Jr. dropped, the Eagles picked him. Only if linebackers fall in the draft will the Eagles pick him. Dean was another example, along with Trot Jr. No plans or desire to draft guys at the position. No value in the position. Eagles' pass defense at linebacker will still be an issue. We're going to get to that very soon. Eagles have a lot of guys with the ability to return punts and kicks.
Yes, that was another thing they looked at.
About another new guy named Ainias Smith. Cooper DeJean also is a great returner.
Right.
Things like that. We'll get into that for sure. Gannon's system is from Vic Fangio, so we had a success there. But great show, guys. Thanks, Freddie.
Miss you, Fred.
Yeah, Fred.
He used to be a co-host on this show. We miss him every day. All right. Let's roll on with the next pick for the Philadelphia Eagles. This was a guy that I'll admit I didn't cover. I covered 200 guys, over 200 guys in the draft.
Well, you should have covered 201, Dibes. Jesus.
And I vividly remember, like, the week before the draft, messaging our group chat saying, here are the guys I do not have information on. Because there was a lot of chatter, there was a lot of talk about Jalyx Hunt climbing up the draft boards really the last several weeks before the draft. I mean, many saw him as a third rounder, possibly slipping into day 2. And sure enough, the Philadelphia Eagles, and Vic Fangio, think this is the guy. Jalyx Hunt is an elite athlete. He is a former safety, former wide receiver in high school. And when you watch the tape, man, holy shit. Like, you see it. He's got twitch. He's got bend. This is a project in the sense that I just see him being a situational pass rusher year 1. But what a guy to kind of grow under Brandon Graham for a year and see what you got in 2-3. I'll be honest, I still think it's a reach. But because there are other guys on the board that I might have preferred. But when you look at the edge position, I mean, you compare and contrast them to other edges available, all those other guys have red flags as well. So it is what it is. Let's start with you, Rob. Any quick takes and grades on Jalyx Hunt?
Yeah, I went to the national guys on this because obviously I didn't know anything about him. Daniel Jeremiah had him ranked in the top 65, or he was 65 or 66 on his board. They said that this was maybe Vic Fangio's favorite guy in the draft. And I think because they have the ability, because Brandon Graham came back for a year, to have a guy that they can groom, right? And like Dibe said, maybe you get him a few snaps a game as a situational pass rusher because he's got freak athletic traits. So this was a very Eagles 3rd round pick, I think. This wasn't something that any of us really expected. But guys that cover the team, I think I'd heard Zach Berman say last week prior to the draft, a guy that he would look out for in the 3rd round is Jalyx Hinks, or whatever. I can't speak. I can't speak. Is Jalyx? I'm just going to say Jalyx, and we're going to leave it there. Thank you. Been a long day, boys. Been a long day. So I like it. I mean, I like taking a shot here. That you got Josh Sweat for a year. But we don't know much about him, so it's hard to give him anything higher than the C+ range. But I could be talked into a B if somebody else wanted to talk me into it.
All right, Ryan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with a C on this one. I agree with you that I think it's just kind of it was a reach. I understand, when again, like you said, I don't think a lot of us really, I had heard of the name, but I didn't really know much about him either. So I think once I started looking into him, you could see the athleticism just jumps off the page. He's a guy that uses his speed, his just natural abilities to get around tackles. It's certainly something to see, but also he went to a very, very small school, and he's definitely going to need some coaching up. But he's also kind of going into a rotation here that he may actually be able to get some playing time, considering we really only have 3 or 4 guys, so he may be able to get some time. But I just think with who was on the board at the time, I just think, it was kind of a reach. I don't know if he would have lasted to the next pick, but still, I think I would have, taken a chance on somebody like a Franklin, wide receiver from Oregon, or a boy JT Sanders, tight end from Texas. There were bigger needs, in my opinion, than a project edge. So that's why I give it a C.
I think Fangio had a lot to do with this pick.
Oh yeah, he 100% did, and that does say a lot to me. It does. It's just I think right now we're in a we need to see results now mode. And I don't know if Jar Jar Hunt is going to be able to.
Well, you know what I saw him do a couple times as I went back and watched some highlights. Drops back in the coverage, and what's one of the things. And what's one of the things that Fangio's systems like to do is take those edges from time to time and drop them back into coverage, right? We used to scream about Hassan Reddick because it wasn't something Hassan Reddick could do. So maybe that was one of the allures to this kid.
Perhaps. So,
yeah. Yang Gang says, what makes you think he's an edge? I think he's going to float between being an edge and a Sam. That's where I expect.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Fangio kind of doesn't really have a set style. I mean, he does, but he doesn't. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, well, it's a 3-4, but it's not really. It's certainly not
a 3-4 hybrid, if anything, you would call it.
Traditional, exactly. So, like,
so guys, like Zach Bond will get the first shot at that, and then he'll be right, kind of filling in and learning underneath Zach Bond.
But I think Nolan Smith could kind of be that edge / outside linebacker.
We hope.
So he'll probably get some time there, and yeah, maybe Hunt will as well.
God, they are ridiculously young on defense all of a sudden.
Yeah, I love it.
Like their ability to transform their defense into a young defense quick without anybody really noticing it's pretty impressive. Not saying that all these guys are going to pan out, but they got young defensively really quick.
Yeah. Young Gang says he's an interesting prospect to say the least. Ridiculous athletic traits.
For sure.
4.64 40-yard dash, 37.5-inch vert. He's got a 7-foot wingspan, a 9.18 RAS score. My favorite stat of the weekend with this dude was, I mean, you look back at the Eagles' 2023 season, just them getting killed on third downs, not getting pass rush, just over and over and over again killed on defense on third downs. This guy had a 25.3% pressure rate on third down last year, which was the second best mark of any pass rusher in the group at the combine. So big time performer. Definitely one of those like Howie analytics guys that he's going to hopefully coach up. Hopefully. Reese should have chosen Peyton Wilson. That would have been nice.
Yeah, I would have loved him, man. Obviously, I would have loved Coop, but we just picked Cooper at 40.
Anthony says Nolan taking a big step. Seems like a positionless type of player. Isn't Bond an inside linebacker? No, he's the same. All right, let's roll on to our next one. This was a wild fourth round.
Can I say that this was my favorite Ryan reaction of the entire draft? Literally, I didn't see it live, but I went back because I had to see Ryan's reaction, and it was worth the price of admission to watch how it didn't matter what name came out. If it wasn't Jeremiah Trotter Jr. in this moment, that was the reaction that you were going to get.
It was so funny, too, because the Eagles were picking at 120. And when Ryan and I both went live, ready to react to the pick, and they didn't trade once.
Twice.
They traded twice. And sure enough, Ryan's there. The entire reason we went live was to see Ryan's reaction to Jeremiah Trotter Jr. Yeah. That was the entire point, because I love Ryan. I wanted to be happy for him. Yeah. And they drafted another Clemson guy.
That was like was like how he knew. He was like, listen, what can we do to F with Ryan? Let's pick another Clemson guy and get him all excited, and then boom, just dash his hopes. And now I had to, at that point, I was like, I have to walk away. And I literally, like, I forget what I did right after, but I eventually went like grocery shopping, and I literally found out we got Trotter as I was doing in the self-checkout line, just letting out a big "let's go" out in the grocery store.
All right, let's get into Will Shipley real quickly. He's a dynamic playmaker, a guy who has shown the ability to catch passes out of the backfield. Not a workhorse whatsoever, but he's a guy that I think will solidify himself with the Eagles as a third down option. He's a guy that I think fits really well in that RB2 area for the Philadelphia Eagles. Doesn't have a lot of physicality, but what is the most intriguing aspect about Will Shipley is how he fits the Kellen Moore offensive system. I expect this guy to be thrown into motion a lot. I expect this guy to be playing in the slot a lot, and that's what gets you excited. So it's not just the Will Shipley aspect. It's the concept, the idea of how it's going to be night and day different than 2023. Start with you, Ryan. Grades, takes.
Well, this one's tough. Honestly, I think I might have to give this another C.
Show the Ryan's reaction. I might have it.
I'm sure we can pull it up on
Oh
YouTube.
my God!
I literally made its own separate video on the channel. So
I honestly don't think Ryan actually knew who was drafted. He just knew it wasn't Jeremiah Trotter, and the reaction was pure disaster. Like at that point, Ryan wanted to give that pick an F in the worst way, and it was, oh man, it was classic.
Oh God, no, I think as far as Will Shipley is concerned, now that I've sat on it and we do have Trot, I still give it a C. I think you were originally at 120. You trade back twice to get to 127, and you let go. Like there was a run on really, really good running backs. I mean, Jalen Wright. Audric Estime was still available. Guerendo from Louisville. There was another guy that went.
Jalen Wright, I think, was picked 120.
Yeah. And then who was the other guy that went right after him? That
I can look it up.
Yeah, there was another running back that I think. Basically, long story short, there were probably about 4 running backs that got taken all right around where Will Shipley was taken, and then there were still a few running backs that I would have preferred over Will Shipley. So I think that facts is probably what's keeping me at a C. I do like Will Shipley for what he is, but again, I just think value. I think you could have gotten a much better running back. They obviously felt that Will Shipley fit a little better with Kellen Moore, and I get that. But I was personally looking to never see Kenny Gainwell again, and I don't think Will Shipley does that, unfortunately. So for that, that gives me a C.
A C for Ryan. Show Ryan's reaction video. It's on the channel, and I actually included Ryan's reaction and the beginning of that in my Will Shipley review. So,
oh God,
okay. Yeah, I literally read off of you.
I can't wait for Ryan to have to apologize to Will Shipley.
Yeah,
you and Al going, wrong Clemson guy.
yeah, exactly. Oh, that's right. I do remember him popping in and just doing that.
Shipley could be a return guy. He's a great return guy. Give him a B. F. I wanted Dylan Lowry. We talked about him on that reaction show too. Who's the Austin Eckler of this draft? The all-around running back that can do everything. I would say Audric Estime, Jalen Wright, one of those two. But I'm biased. Those have been my guys for a while, and I can't believe they slipped. Rob, what was your take?
I'm a little higher on it, and it goes back to a word I used earlier, and that's versatility. And I think that there is a ton of versatility surrounding a guy like Will Shipley. I think you're going to see him in the slot quite a bit. Because of the way he catches the ball out of the backfield. He's a smart player. He's a gritty player. And I think he's the type of guy that when you're talking about a back behind Saquon Barkley, I think he's a great fit here. I understand that there were other guys, and I get all that, but I disagree with you. I think this means you're going to see less Kenny Gainwell because I think a guy like Will Shipley can take plays from him. I'm not a Kenny Gainwell guy. We know that, right? We bitched about him every single game last year. But I like the pick. I like the player. I think this was one of those, strong, smart character players who I think can notch something out in this offense and notch it out this year as a rookie. So I would say B, but that's just me.
I'm going to go B too. I think I was a little unfair about Will Shipley during the reaction because that was definitely emotional.
It was a great reaction. I to this day will never forget that reaction.
Man, now I'm gonna have to go back because
it was either that or watching Shane, who is not the most emotional guy, give a little fist pump when Cooper DeJean was picked. Like it was like the most emotion I've ever seen Shane give on the podcast. Was like he like kind of like, and I almost missed it because it was so fast, but it was fantastic.
So from our watch parties, I did reaction videos of us live for every draft selection, I think up until this point. So go check that out. They're all individual videos as well. So, all right. So are we good with the B? Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fine. You guys say so. I'm overruled.
Okay. All right. Let's roll on. Let's roll on with the next selection for the Eagles. It's Ainias Smith. The Eagles went the route of bringing in a versatile wide receiver, another returner. He's smallish. He's not an elite burner, but he's a guy that has great short area bursts. He's a guy that's going to thrive in the slot. I like this pick a lot. I was very happy about this selection when they made it. Ainias Smith, I'm not saying like he's Deebo Samuel, but there's an elusiveness and a toughness about his game. He's a guy that is excellent at working the screens and the slants and the crossers, something I want more of with the Philadelphia Eagles that they got away from, especially with A.J. Brown. I'll throw it to you, Rob, first. Quick thoughts on Ainias Smith.
Listen, outside of those first two picks, this was probably my favorite pick in the draft class for the Eagles. I really love this guy because he is, in my opinion, the ideal slot receiver between Devontae and AJ. He's gonna, he can run all the routes, he can make the tough grabs, and he has that elusiveness, that you're talking about. Not to mention, if you're not going to play him as your third wide receiver this year because maybe one of these other vets steps up and takes the role, here's another option for you at the returner. His punt returning skills are exceptional. I love this guy from, we all joke about mock drafts, and I feel like this was the first year that the Eagles actually drafted a lot of the guys I mocked to them. But you actually heard early in the process that they were very high on him. He was a top 30 visit, all that stuff. I think he fits the mold of what and I know that they probably missed out on a couple guys that we may, a lot of people may have wanted, but I think for where they got him, I thought this was a tremendous pick. And I'll go with a strong B+ here for Ainias Smith.
B+ for Rob. What about you, Ryan?
Yeah, I kind of agree. I'm right in the middle between A and B, and
yeah,
I really do like him. He, again, he's not necessarily a guy that got a lot of notoriety, but man, he produced. And I think I read a stat he had over 4,000 yards, total yards and 25 total touchdowns. That's pretty darn good for production in college football. So I like that. I like the fact that he seems to be a leader on that Texas A&M squad, and obviously they value that. And I just think this is a guy that can come in and kind of compete and be able to, get some routes out there. And considering who's already on this team, there is an open spot. And as far as I'm concerned, him and depending on what they do with Johnny Wilson, those two are going to be fighting for it.
Should he be between A and B? Because I think I'm kind of with you. Instead of I like that pick better than Will Shipley, but I don't know if it's an A.
I sure do.
So,
yeah. I mean, his great value for the 5th round. Ainias Smith is another draft pick cementing the idea of Kellen Moore, getting guys in motion, getting guys yards after the catch. That's what makes this pick exciting. So I'm good with that. I think I did give this a B+ in my video. So I'm good with that. Let's go all around B+. Move on to our next guy. And it happened, Ryan. It finally happened. Locking it to the birds.
A billion
months straight. Jeremiah Trotter went to the Philadelphia Eagles. I have my personal concerns. I'm going to be lower on this than Ryan. But Ryan, this is your moment, man. This is your moment.
Listen, I will, I'll admit to Jeremiah Trotter's flaws as a linebacker. His size is not necessarily ideal, especially for, what we already have, on this squad with Nakobe Dean being a smaller linebacker and Devin White not being, necessarily the biggest guy either. So, but despite that smaller frame, I think he plays with the biggest heart out there. He is constantly eyeing down defenders, getting tackles, hitting his gaps, not unlike his father. And honestly, I think just the instincts are something that's going to carry him through. He's decent in coverage. Something again that the Eagles certainly need. It has to be a solid A. Considering I think when we first were doing this, Trot was probably a 1st round grade. And yes, he kept slipping and eventually I think was around 3rd round prior to the draft. And the fact that you get him in the middle of the 5th round, he definitely fell. And we took advantage of that. And no, I don't believe he is a slower, worse version of Nakobe Dean, K1.
No.
I think this is a great value. I think this is an easy A for me. It's a great story. It's just something that outside of football, sometimes you need stuff like this. Yeah. And I think there is 5 million people that are going to be behind this guy the whole way, wanting to see this work. So he's going to have all Eagles fans riding with him, and it's going to be a beautiful thing to see. Honestly, it really is. And I cannot wait for him to drop that axe on Sunday.
Oh my God! I just got chills.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, the axe. First time you see that axe, man, from 54 with the name Trotter on the back is going to be special.
I honestly want.
Hold on, that's a good point from Rob. Should he adopt the 54 number?
He wants it.
Go with a different number.
He's going to ask for it.
No, he wants it. He was very clear on that. He wants it. His dad's legacy is very important to him. I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome.
Anthony says narratives aside, there's a reason why he was 152nd.
Yeah, and you're right. You're 100% right.
Because people slide.
Right. It just happens. I mean, listen. There are plenty of players that don't go drafted that end up being all pros.
The small linebackers.
I get it.
People don't like them, man. People don't like it. They like.
Yeah, well, let me give you. You guys
put these kind of guys on their boards.
You guys know who was a 6-foot linebacker and weighed 235 when he was drafted by the Baltimore Ravens? You guys know who that was?
I have a guess.
6 foot. Ray
6
Lewis?
foot. Ray Lewis was 6 foot 235 when drafted. And I'm not
on,
my point in saying this is you cannot look at a kid at this age and say, well, he's too small. He's never going to make it. Not to mention the fact that this kid has made plays for 2 years at a highly prolific school in Clemson. Okay. There's all this talk about he's not good in coverage. You saw what the quarterback rating was last year when he was in coverage. I actually think that's a strength of his. I'm not expecting him to come in and be the best linebacker in the world year one.
Right.
But I believe that this kid absolutely has the work ethic and the passion and the drive to become a very good linebacker for this team. And I think for people, we get 31 teams are wrong all the time.
All of the damn time and multiple times.
Like, I mean, Tom Brady was a 6th-round pick, guys. You know, I mean, like, so you don't that argument doesn't hold ground because guys miss on people all the time. You know, so
it's hard to do, and I get it. Listen, he's got to climb. He's a 5th-round pick, but to say the 5th-round picks can't ever turn into again, we're not needing him to be an all-pro. We just want him to be decent. And listen,
I think he's got the ability to do that. I really do. I really think he's got the ability to do that. And I'm fine because I kind of go between an A and a B. But so if we want to put him at the A, for Ryan's sanity,
thank you, Rob. I appreciate it.
I'm with it.
Wait,
I can listen, if I had a chance, I can give you 100 guys that were picked after the first 32 teams who turned into really good players. Terrell Owens was not a 1st-round wide receiver. Okay, I mean, like this happens on Dak. Look, everyone hates Dak Prescott, but he's been a decent quarterback. He was a 3rd-round pick. So you know, where Chad Pennington was a 1st-round pick, where Achilles Smith was a 1st-round pick. So we could have this debate. I'm going to win.
Listen, Tyreek Hill was picked 165. He was in the 5th round.
Yeah.
Trent Cole, good old Trent Cole, was 146 in the 5th round. I mean, let's not pretend like it.
Did everyone love Patrick Queen? Were there guys out there that wanted the Eagles to spend a ton of money on Patrick Queen? Someone go look at his size because I guarantee it's not much different.
I wanted
to. All right, wait, just so we're sure, Ryan, you said A. Rob, what did you say?
I said let's give it an A because Ryan deserves it. Because I had him between A and B, so I'm okay going with an A.
Let's go an A.
This is painting. This is painting dives right now.
Also,
this is painting.
Listen, I go into all the reasons, all the concerns into my Jeremiah Trotter video on the channel. So go check that out.
Yeah, and listen, I get it. They are absolutely there. And they need to be addressed. But listen, there is something about sometimes a football lineage, and especially a story like this. I think I don't know. I think there's a lot of fake going on. I think there's a lot of things. And listen, I think when you have a support of an entire football team and their fans, like. That's gotta mean something. Like, I mean, think about it. How many draft picks do we have that come in and we're just like, who the hell is this bum? JJ Arcega-Whiteside. This guy's a bum. Look at him. His mom is holding an umbrella over him.
That's half the problem, Ryan. Like, you got to take the emotion out of it. You got to.
Well, right, but like again, we beat down on so many people. That is not going to happen here. He is going to get lifted up. And I'd love
not to mention
we'll give him a couple games.
Not to mention we gave him
calling him anything. I'm just saying, like we as fans are gonna,
not to mention, guys, this was a back end of the 5th round pick.
That's the thing.
So the value was there to take Trotter at 5th. You know what I mean? Like that. Like I always said, like, yeah, I wanted Edgerrin Cooper, I wanted Peyton Wilson, but if you didn't get them and you were going to wait until this point to take the draft, you could do a hell of a lot worse than Jeremiah Trotter.
Right. That's my was my fourth linebacker, and I'm sure he wasn't, but he was mine. And again, I agree. I wanted this guy, I wanted that guy, I wanted that guy, and I thought Trotter would have been a nice second linebacker to get after getting one of those guys, and kind of somebody that you just have him. He does what he whatever. Anything you get out of him is great. But unfortunately, we didn't do that. So he's now probably the third linebacker.
He's
right
behind Nakobe Dean. That's for sure.
He is the third linebacker, Dibes. You better stop it right now. He is behind Devin White, and there's no way you're going to.
It's Dean and White, and then out after that, it's Jeremiah Trotter. And I think Rob nailed it. It's the fact that at this point in the draft, as a 5th round pick, who the hell cares? Like, I don't even think Howie wanted this guy. Like, you just do it because at that point, why not? And see if it hits.
Take a shot.
No, if you saw Howie Roseman's call, Howie was excited, man. They were all excited.
Did you see when Lori got on the phone?
Oh, Lori's call.
Oh my God. I almost was like,
it's literally like straight to water.
Yeah, he was like, he's like, when did I meet you? When you're 2, 3, 4 years old? And then he's like, I loved your mother. And his mom.
That was kind of weird. I'm not gonna lie. I got some creepy vibes when they're for a half a second. Stares at the camera. It was kind of weird.
I'm with you. I didn't want to address it, but I'm right there with you. Let's move on.
Ryan
Next
says,
pick.
Who do you guys think will be the primary kick returner, punt returner, and why?
There's
so many options. It's Covey.
I don't know if Covey makes the team right now.
Yeah, I don't know if Covey makes it.
Dude, he was.
I get it.
Season in like 4 or 5 weeks.
Right, but I wonder. I ask you this:
among the top 4 returners in football.
Understood, but why do you bring in a Paris Campbell? Why do you try out a John Ross? Why do you draft 4 guys that have return in their repertoire unless you want I'm not saying that it's a guarantee, but unless you want to see a competition, because the one thing Covey didn't do, they never let Covey return kicks. Now, this new kickoff rule is going to be very different, and guys are going to have to return the kicks. So I think that there's an open competition this summer for that. I really do.
That's fascinating. I didn't even think about that. I mean, I thought Covey was like one of the main positives of last year.
But
maybe Covey's the punt returner.
Very few positives.
Maybe Covey's the 5th receiver and he's the punt returner, but maybe the kick returner is going to be whoever that slot receiver is or that 4th receiver is, or you're going to give Cooper DeJean a shot because maybe he's not going to play, 80% of the defensive snaps or something like that.
Well, I mean, think about how many wide receivers did we take on the roster last year? 6?
Yeah, I think it was 6 last year.
Receivers?
Yeah.
Or was it 5? Did they only keep 5?
For wide receivers, they officially kept 4.
Oh my God, that's right.
They kept AJ, Devontae, Quez, and Oz.
Britton.
Wait, hold on. Let me get special teams.
Oh, Covey. Britton was a practice squad, wasn't it?
Special teams.
Or no.
No, Britton was practice squad the first few weeks, but then they had to sign him to the active roster, and he's listed as a wide receiver.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they brought in Julio. But still, I don't think they ever had anything more than 6.
Yeah.
Well, I think they keep 5 this year. I don't think they'll keep more than 5.
AJ.
This sounds like a great show. Like, we should do this.
Yeah, we should.
Yes. Yeah. Like now, and then do it after training camp.
Yeah, then we'll next week we'll do it. That's okay.
Kelsey is the most overrated offensive player in the history of the league.
Yeah, Kenny G.
Hi, Kenny from Dallas.
Yeah, exactly. I was about to say it. Dallas fan.
Hi, Kenny from Dallas. How are you?
Look at this next level. I think he's trying to say Malata sucks. Go back to rugby. But he says Malia.
What?
You're disqualified from making comments.
Yeah. Kenny, there's a lot of Dallas Cowboy podcasts you can go join, buddy.
Yeah.
All Covey can do is catch and not fumble. That's it. You can't return.
I mean, listen.
No, he had one of the best return averages in the league
What are
last
we
year.
doing here? Come on, guys. Like the special teams unit
Was
general
actually
was
good.
Excellent.
Actually good.
It was literally like a top 5 unit in football. All right.
No.
All right. Let's roll on for the sake of time. Let's talk about our next draft selection. Is it Keegan? Yeah, it's Keegan. Trevor Keegan here. One part of the amazing offensive line that carried Michigan to a national championship. He's a throwback physical guard whose bread and butter is being a mauler in the run game. Let's lead off with you, Rob. Grades on Trevor Keegan.
I love these offensive linemen who are just, as you said, maulers, man, that are just tough guys that are, you see him in his championship parade without the shirt on, just chugging beers. Remind you of some of the guys we've had here, such as Jason Kelsey. And I really thought this was a really strong pick for this late in the draft. You get a guard off a championship team. You guys know, Dives, me, like that's big to me when you're playing at the top of college football and you're playing well. But he was a leader on that offensive line, and he was a ton of experience. So I think he fits very well into the mold. I don't think he starts this year. I don't think he competes to start this year, but he adds depth to that interior offensive lineman room. And for that, strong, solid B+ at this point in the draft to get a kid like this, in my opinion.
I love it, man. I'm right on the same page. What about you, Ryan?
Yeah. I couldn't agree more, honestly. This is a guy that I think got lost with Zach Sinter, being the more notable guard from Michigan. But again, this is a team captain, and as I said, they've really been targeting captains of these teams, and this is a guy that also was really great in the run. I thought, strong and just, I think I wouldn't be surprised that he doesn't compete, for the right guard spot, because personally, I think it's him and Tyler Steen. Yeah, I think it's so wide open.
I think it's wide open.
Yeah, they didn't fully address it, so I'm going A. I'm going A. Honestly. I think this is a great value pick as well, and I think this is a guy that regardless of if he would provide great depth, and our offensive line depth right now is phenomenal.
And this is going to sound. Go ahead. No, I was just going to say this is going to sound stupid. It's probably my stupid comment of the night, but he just looks like a Philadelphia Eagles offensive lineman. He just looks like he fits the mold of being on that line and doing the things that those guys do. Like, he just looks like he fits so well on that offensive line.
You could share a beer or 12 with them.
Yeah.
6'5". He's a big boy. And you could argue that like the biggest winner of the weekend was Tyler Steen, and kind of the announcement that it looks like he's going to be the main guy at right guard. But this guy,
he's going to get first opportunity.
For sure. This guy has experience playing left guard, tackle, played a lot of snaps at left guard. He only played 1 snap at right guard. So he's not an elite athlete. He's not like kind of a guy that like Jason Kelsey that's going to like bust doors open in the second level. He's an older rookie, 24 years old. Definitely needs some polish. But I like this pick a lot. I actually lean towards more Ryan. I think it's
I'm absolutely on board with that. Like
team captain, a guy that is going to fit really well here. Let's go A for Trevor Keegan.
Woo.
All right, that looks good. All right, let's roll on. We're getting a lot of comments about this guy.
They just attacked him. They forced him out. Like, he is just gone.
I love it, guys. Keep it coming.
Love our fans.
Alex says I'll give Keegan a B-. Agree, Rob. He has Eagles written all over him. Keegan is not beating Alcine. I could see Gottlieb. I don't even know. And the other elephant in the room is Mekhi Becton, who the Eagles just signed.
And there's rumors.
Could Jeff Stoutland coach him up and have him be a ridiculous right guard?
That's that. I read that today because initially when they signed him, you heard he's going to be the swing tackle for them, back up both positions, which he can still do. But there's talk that are they going to try and build him into a right guard? And that would be something. That would be something.
That is a big dude too.
Yeah, I think that's the better move. I think he would thrive more inside.
I didn't even think about that. Snap.
Yep. All right. Let's roll on to our second to last picks question. It is Johnny Wilson here for the Philadelphia Eagles, 6'7", 237 pounds. Just a huge freak of nature playing wide receiver. He began his career at Arizona State. Then he transferred to FSU for the season. Was pure cinema with Jordan Travis, watching him bring down contested catches, 50-50 balls. His highlight reel is outstanding. Let's start off with Ryan. How would you grade Johnny Wilson?
Yeah, I think this is a solid B. I hear a lot of people talking about he has to make this move to tight end, and I don't necessarily agree with that. And again, it obviously depends on what he wants to do. If he wants to be a wide receiver, that's what he should be. And the fact of the matter is, we got another massive dude, big guy, but he's quick. And he's 6'7", and he still runs as fast as he does. So I think this guy could certainly be a red zone a target for sure, and somebody that Jalen Hurts could easily rely upon. Should he make the team. Honestly, I think it's going to be a little bit of a struggle with kind of who's there, but I love his potential. I think it's a great value. I would have easily thought he'd be picked a little bit earlier. So I give it a solid B. I like it.
What about you, Rob?
Yeah, he's a really intriguing prospect, man. I mean, that when you look at that size, 6'7", 237. I mean, that's just like you don't see that too often. And I guess my only question is, where does he fit here? Because of what we're talking about, right? I mean, maybe he's the fourth wide receiver. Maybe he's the I don't know. I'm not sure where he fits is my only question. But I think for the value where you got him, I think it's absolutely a solid B, and he could turn into something. I don't know enough about him to say whether or not I think he should be switched to tight end or whatever. But I don't. You don't just necessarily switch a guy there just because he's big. You know what I mean? So. But very, very intriguing guy. I mean, he's a big dude, so very intriguing.
Yeah, he's interesting, man. Like, he primarily played on the boundary at Florida State. Like you guys said, like, the idea of him as a big slot on this team is what I'm most intrigued with.
Yeah.
Again, he ran really well at the combine. He looks like a pretty standard X receiver to kind of play behind A.J. Brown at this point. I'm a B for Johnny Wilson. But that idea of him maybe developing into a tight end is super, super intriguing. That's going to be one of the fun storylines of training camp to see what the Eagles how the Eagles employ him, because they already kind of got slot guys, and I want to see more slot for Devontae Smith and things like that. So Eagles says put him in the slot. He fits as a backup. That's weird. Am I glitching?
Yes,
slightly.
What
Now
just
you're
happened?
back.
All right.
I don't.
He fits.
Well, who knows?
He fits as a backup extra big slot. All right. That's weird.
Yeah.
Am I back?
You're
Yeah.
back. Howie Roseman's done tapping into your computer.
All right. For the sake of time, where should we put Johnny Wilson? B?
I'm good with the B.
Yeah.
All right, let's give him a B for Mr. Johnny Wilson. Last one here. Let's roll into Dylan McMahon out of NC State. This guy's interesting for many different respects. Versatile, saw snaps at right guard, left guard, center during his 4 years with NC State. Just a ridiculous athlete. His combine numbers are off the charts. In fact, his 3-cone drill is one of 2 fastest marks over the last 10 years. And the second best was the first best was Cam Jurgens at 719. That's pretty crazy. So clearly Howie Roseman has a type. But the Jason Kelsey comparisons are running wild. 6-rounder, center, elite athlete. I'll throw it to you, Rob. What do you think?
Yeah, I was going to say, 6-round, undersized, freak athlete center. Interesting. You know, and what I like about him is his ability, as you put on here, to play all 3 spots on the interior offensive line. So it's not like he has to be the center, but maybe he's a good backup plan in case something doesn't work with Cam Jurgens, or maybe he's a good backup plan in case something doesn't work at that right guard position. You know, he has the ability to play all 3 of those positions and adds depth there right now. I think that this was a really nice pick for them late in this draft to get a guy like that could kind of add to your depth, right? We talked about that, yeah, you may have your starters for the offensive line, but you need to add depth, and I think this is a solid depth piece. You know, I think that this is a guy that's a solid B because I think he fits a need to add depth and youth to that offensive line, and there's never going to be a problem with that.
What about you, Rob? Or sorry, Ryan.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the B as well. I am all in favor of adding depth, and yeah, you're right. It's a fun little comparison with you know, Jason Kelsey, but again, I think it's twofold. Is the fact of the matter is they want to make sure that they have center position locked down, and obviously we all think that that's Cam Jurgens, and we have, you know, Hennessy, who's played some center, and now we draft a young guy who can learn, you know, under these guys, but it can also play anywhere, you know, in the interior. So you have a lot of guys now on the offensive line who can play multiple positions. We have solid depth pieces behind every one of our starters right now, and I feel more confident about this, you know, depth, the backups on the offensive line than I have in years. It's just at this point we just need to figure out what's happening with right guard, and the rest will kind of figure out itself out. So, but I like this kid. I think you know, it adds a little bit more weight, gets a little stronger. I think he'll fit in real well, and I'm really excited to see what Stoutland will do with him.
All right. So if we look at this experiment, how would you grade the Eagles draft overall?
I'd give it an A-, maybe B+. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, I would give it an A. I mean, if you when you can talk about getting 2 of the top, what most people consider 2 top 20 to 25 players in the draft in the first 2 rounds, that sets you apart right there. And then to be able, I thought that the rest of their picks, maybe not the 3rd round pick, but I thought about their later round picks were good value for the position that they were drafting. And because of that, I said it to you guys before we came on the air. I have not come out feeling this happy with an entire draft class in a long time. And I know that doesn't mean anything. They got to get on the field. They have to perform. But if we're going to do this exercise and grade it right now based off of what, you guys have seen, what we've all talked about for months and months and months, I think an A is solid here, and not to mention this. I mean, you did all that and you added in a position where you didn't have a lot of picks next year, and you may lose another one because of this whole tampering thing that's out there. So, well done by Howie and his staff this weekend.
Yeah, that's a good. I forgot about the extra picks. I'd probably move mine to a solid A. I mean, you like Rob said, you went out and got two guys that you were wanting with the 22nd pick, and you got a second one of them. That is amazing. And you have a guy you got in the third round that might be a little bit of a project, but he's an athletic freak. And all of the guys that I think throughout, and next time when we go through the UDFAs, we added a lot of speed in this draft. We added a lot of size, and we got younger, and that is exactly what you want to do in a draft. And you've got a couple picks for next year. You added in positions of great need. So I think this was a slam dunk A. So
awesome. All right, last question of the night before we wrap it up here. What was your favorite pick of the draft? Favorite pick. Let's lead it off. Wait, hold on. We got some comments. Marty says B+. Davey says A- when you consider the picks they added from next year. Random says I'm most curious about the Jalyx Hunt pick. Rob, who's your favorite pick?
I'm going to go Cooper DeJean in the second round because that was never like when they draft Quinyon Mitchell at 22. My thought for the second round goes in. All right, now where do they go? What do they do? But never did I expect that Cooper DeJean would fall to a spot where they could trade up and grab him too. Nor did I expect the Eagles to draft a secondary player, back to back like that. And I think just the excitement of getting the guy that a lot of us thought that they would take at 22 at 40 is why that comes in as my favorite pick of the draft. And I do believe this kid will stick. I think he's got it in him to stick at something and be a really good player for them.
Ryan, who's your favorite pick?
Exactly. Come on.
Will Shipley.
Yeah.
Just look at his reaction on YouTube.
Yeah. Come on now. I mean, listen, this is a guy I cannot express this enough that I've been following this kid since he went to St. Joe's Prep about, 8 years now, I guess. So I've been following him all throughout high school, through college. I've been a big fan. Obviously, I was a big fan of his father. And, the fact that after all this time, and especially in this off-season, draft season, I've been talking about him and wanting to get him on the Eagles. And not only what a great story, but it's such a great need. And listen, you have the whole city rooting for this kid to be something. And I truly think he will. Again, I'm not talking he's going to be the next, Brian Urlacher or Ray Lewis, but I think he could be the next, fan favorite Eagles linebacker. And I think that'll be enough for me. So yeah, it's obviously Johnny Wilson.
David says Will Shipley. Marty says Cooper because I thought he would be gone in the first round. Yeah, not to sound redundant, but it's Cooper DeJean for me. Like Quinyon Mitchell's the chalk answer, but the fact that, like, the Eagles, I project Cooper DeJean to be eventually a safety for the Eagles, and they haven't had that level of versatile playmaker in quite some time. I think Quinyon Mitchell is going to be a beast, but I think Cooper DeJean is going to be a leader for this defense that we haven't had back there in a very long time. So give me Cooper DeJean.
I will say my favorite call between Howie and draft pick was Jalyx Hunt. When Howie goes, Jalyx, it's Howie Rosen. What up, Big Pimpin'? I was like, wow, this dude, I love this dude already.
I immediately was like, all right, I like this dude already. What up, Big Pimpin'?
Alex says my favorite that isn't an obvious one is Johnny Wilson, especially if we get him a little bigger and put him at tight end. But even if we leave him at wide receiver, it can still be a nice piece. Alex says Big Pimpin'. Anthony chimes in and says, thanks, guys. This was great. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Anthony.
Of course,
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah,
all right, let's wrap this thing up. This is the longest party on Broad we've done
ever.
In a while.
But there's a lot to cover. We didn't even touch on the undrafted free agents, guys like Gabe Hall, who I was really high on.
I cannot believe he fell.
Yeah, one of the Senior Bowl winners that we covered on this channel many times. So I was really excited about that. But that'll be a different show. I'll throw it to you, Rob. Final thoughts on the NFL draft plugs. Tom's yours.
Listen, fun draft, fun weekend. A lot of things going on. I'll give some credit to Detroit, man. Those people showed up. There were a lot of people there all the days. It's funny when you look at the numbers of how many people showed up at a draft. I still don't think they counted Philadelphia right, but that's fine. Let's let it go.
Exactly.
Because I was there the first night. There was more than 250,000 people there the first night, let alone for the entire draft. But that's whatever. But
let Detroit have a win. That's fine.
Yeah, you can have that one, guys. That's about all you're going to get. That in Michigan, because the Lions aren't going to win. Sorry. Hey, look.
They crushed their draft, though.
They had a great draft. And listen, the city of Detroit, you're better than Cleveland. You're better than Cleveland, so you win that. All right, you win right there, too. But listen, I loved watching you guys, but I got to tell you, one of the things that has been great for me, and I'm loving it, is doing this with you guys every week. It's whether we're talking about this, Sixers, whatever we're talking about, it's a ton of fun. I'm looking forward to doing this more and more and getting on the air with you guys as much as possible going forward. And then, like I said, we got a little Rob Lange individual show coming soon. We are in the process of working through some of the last minute kinks. I'm kind of hoping that we can get started so that I can rip into the Philadelphia 76ers in a couple weeks here. So we'll see.
That would be difficult because there's not enough content to do that.
Remember, my show's a quick hitter, Dibes. My show's a quick hitter. We're gonna make it work. All right. And then at Philly _ madness, but that's it.
Oh man. Davey says great show.
Thanks
for the great draft coverage. Dive to take a nice vacation this summer.
Are you kidding me? He already has videos for the top 10 guys next year. Unbelievably sick.
Agreed.
Yeah, we're gonna move on to 2025. I'm done with 2024. And Ryan and I are already talking about a 2025 mock draft for the Eagles. Show. So be on the lookout for that.
I'm going to bed.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty burnt out.
I get it.
Ryan, final thoughts.
Yeah, listen, this was a great day, or weekend, I should say, for the draft. I thought Howie did a really great job. I really did like some of the undrafted free agents, which I'm sure we'll go over next week. And the Mekhi Becton signing was really great, kind of cherry on top of a great weekend. But listen, obviously I'm really happy about the Trotter pick. I am just so starved for linebackers that honestly I really would have taken them most of anybody, honestly. But it's just a nice story, and it's something to root for, because again, everybody wants to be negative. There's a lot of crap in this world, and people are always trying to pull you down. And this is something that honestly is nice, and it's a happy story. And yeah, it's just something that we can all just get behind. So I don't know. I like it. But anyway, that's it, I guess.
Where can we find you, Ryan?
Oh yeah. So Mondays, busy schedule, 6:00. I do the Football Smack Talk show on Edge of Philly Sports. Then obviously here 9:00. every Monday evening. Tuesday, I'm with this guy, the Birds of the Round Table. And then, usually I'll pop up somewhere throughout. Thank you. I don't know. I always just feel like the world needs a little positivity. And I know there's not a lot going on. And this is just something real tiny for us Eagles fans to hold on to and make it ours and make him ours. And I don't know. It's a great story. I'm sure it was such an emotional, proud moment for his father, for him. And, again, especially considering losing his mother about a year ago.
Yeah.
I'm sure the whole family is probably filled with just immense joy. So I just would love to channel that into something positive for the Eagles and just root for this kid. That's all I'm trying to do.
Awesome stuff. PFF put out their top 10 mock draft for 2025, and I've covered every one of those guys. That was really exciting for me.
PFF, they stink.
Which is ironic too, because like they gave the Eagles the best day 3 pick to the Philadelphia Eagles in Jeremiah Trotter. And how many times did we mock Jeremiah Trotter to the Eagles on day 3 and stuff, and we would get like F.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Clapped on.
I love it. But if you're into the 2025 NFL draft, I've covered 20 prospects on there, so go check that out. It looks like a really deep draft, really top heavy as well. We'll see what the Saquon thing results in. That's a whole other show. But at this point, the Eagles are loading up for next year, and we'll be covering the 2024 college football season, just like we always do, and all the top NFL draft prospects, as we always do. Tomorrow night, Birds of the Round Table. I'll probably talking more NFL draft, and then, of course, Sixers post game, which I'm absolutely dreading. I'm out, man. I can't hide it anymore. But it is what it is. It's been a very, very difficult series. Birds of the Round Table, Sixers post game. We'll see you tomorrow night. One last time, give Ryan Reese a follow at Philly Sports PSA on X, and Rob Langy at Philly_Madness. Thank you, everyone, for watching. We'll catch you on the next Party on Broad, Monday nights at 9 o'clock. Stay awesome.